Hello and welcome to The Perspective on NTV World. I am Sabika Shrestha, your host for the weekly current affairs program. Here we pick the major news of the week, unpack its significance and examine how today's decisions shape tomorrow's direction. This week's major issues centered on governance, elections, economy, youth migration and national institutions. Coverage included the EPS process and growing frustration among Nepali youths seeking employment in South Korea, election-related developments such as the Code of Conduct, campaigns do's and don'ts, election financial transactions, security concerns in Jhapa amid heavyweight candidacies, and cases of election code violations and actions taken against offenders. Appointment of 9 women election commissioners across 10 constituencies in Kathmandu was one of the major highlights of the week. Medical professionals increased migration abroad as a major setback to the nation's human resource pool. Thousands of Nepalis who cleared all mandatory exams to work in South Korea under the Employment Permit System EPS have taken to protests once again. This time they are demanding expedited intake as their job roster from 2023 nears expiry. With limited quotas and rising uncertainty, the issue has now reached diplomatic levels. A report. Thousands of Nepali job seekers aspiring to work in South Korea under the Employment Permit System EPS have once again taken to the streets. The reason is simple. These protesters are the batch of 2023 still awaiting selection with the likelihood of their roster expiring soon. With the 2-year validity of the EPS roster nearing expiration, frustration and uncertainty have spilled onto the streets of Kathmandu and Lalitpur. More than 1,03,000 applicants from the 2023 EPS roster are still waiting for placement despite having cleared the Korean language test, skill assessment, medical examination and police verification. In contrast, South Korea recruits only around 5,300 Nepali workers at a time under the quota system, leaving a large majority stranded and fearful of losing their opportunity altogether.
सबै पीडित साथीहरूको रोस्टर अवधि सकिएकोले गर्दा पहिलो प्राथमिकता भनेको रोस्टर थप गरियोस् पीडितको र जति पनि हामी पीडित छौं यी पीडित विद्यार्थीहरूलाई चाहिँ पहिलो प्राथमिकतामा राखेर कोरिया पठाइयोस् र हाम्रो जति पनि रोजगारदाता समक्ष फाइलहरू पुर्याउन बन्द गरिएको छ यो फाइल
Nepal remains one of the largest contributors to South Korea's migrant workforce under EPS, accounting for around 17% of total workers sent. Since the system was introduced 18 years ago, nearly 1,21,000 Nepali workers have gone to South Korea primarily under the E9 unskilled visa, working in manufacturing, agriculture, shipbuilding and related sectors. Monthly earnings typically start at around $2,000 depending on industry and overtime. Explaining the selection process, Director of the EPS Korea Section Nepal, Tikaram Thakal, clarified that Nepal has no role in final recruitment decisions.
After passing the language examination and after passing all the steps, we send them their job application to Korea via online system. Their file is sent to South Korea. Then we cannot do, Nepali side cannot do any more for their assurance in Korea, going Korea for their employment. This depends upon Korean company side, Korean side's company.
As pressure mounted, the government of Nepal acknowledged the concerns and initiated diplomatic and administrative measures. The Ministry of Labor, Employment and Social Security formed an investigation committee last month to explore solutions including extending the roster validity and resending applicant profiles. A high-level Nepali delegation is also scheduled to visit South Korea next month to hold talks on increasing the current quota. As the deadline for the 2023 roster approaches, the EPS Korea issue has emerged as one of Nepal's most pressing migrant labor challenges, placing growing pressure on both the Nepali and South Korean governments. As Nepal gears up for the March 5 House of Representatives elections, the spotlight is firmly on the election code of conduct that governs not just rallies and ballot boxes, but screens and social feeds as well. From political parties to voters and from security agencies to the media, ethical boundaries are being closely monitored in an increasingly digital campaign landscape. Smithu Gising Tamang explains more.
As Nepal prepares for its House of Representatives March 5 elections, the focus now shifts to Code of Conduct and its adherence. The Election Commission has already enforced the Election Code of Conduct for all sides concerned. The code outlines ethical responsibilities for all stakeholders at a time when political campaigning is at its peak, physically as well as digitally. With more youths in the election fray as well as voters' roll, digital spaces are, for the first time, being scrutinized with high-tech mechanisms. At the core of the electoral process is the Election Commission itself. Officials are required to ensure impartial administration, transparency, and timely communication, including in the digital space. The dues are act impartially, ensure transparency, provide timely digital updates, handle complaints fairly, and counter misinformation. Whereas don'ts are favor any party or candidate, delay official clarification, ignore digital violations, suppress information, and act without accountability. Political parties are required to campaign responsibly, disclose expenses, and strictly observe silence period restrictions both offline and online. The do's are follow EC campaign schedules, disclose campaign spending, use verified digital platforms, promote issue-based agenda, respect green election guidelines. And the don'ts are use state resources, spread hate or misinformation, run undisclosed digital ads, campaign during silence period, exploit religion or identity, and use fake accounts. Candidates are bound by spending limits, truthfulness, and ethical conduct, especially in online campaigning. The dues are spend within allocated ceiling, present accurate credentials, campaign respectfully, use eco-friendly outreach, and comply with digital rules. Whereas the don'ts are buy votes physically or digitally, defame opponents, mislead voters online, use deepfake content, and influence voters near polling stations. Civil employment are required to maintain political neutrality at all times, including on social media. The dues are remain politically neutral, perform routine duties only, follow Election Commission directives, maintain institutional integrity, and avoid public endorsements. Whereas the don'ts are attend campaign events, use official platforms politically, influence voters, misuse public resources, and engage in online campaigning. Security agencies are tasked with ensuring a safe and neutral election environment. The dues are maintain neutrality, protect polling stations, ensure voter safety, act proportionately, and coordinate with the Election Commission. And the don'ts are support political groups, intimidate voters, interfere in voting, use excessive force, and ignore Election Commission deployment plans. Media institutions play a crucial role in shaping public opinion and must adhere to strict professional standards. The dues are provide balanced coverage, verify information, label paid political content, follow silence period rules, promote voter awareness, and be fair. The don'ts are broadcast opinion as news, air unverified content, promote any candidate, publish exit polls early, amplify hate speech. Individual journalists are expected to uphold neutrality and credibility, including on personal digital platforms. The dues are maintain professional neutrality, fact-check before posting, disclose conflicts of interest, follow ethical journalism norms, and educate audiences responsibly. And the don'ts are act as campaigners, accept gifts or benefits, share unverified political content, express partisan views on duty, and blur lines between news and opinions. Voters, too, carry ethical responsibility, especially in the digital age. The dues are verify information before sharing, vote freely and responsibly, respect differing opinions, report violations, and follow polling day rules. And the don'ts are accept inducements, spread misinformation, campaign during silence period, intimidate other voters, share false results online. As Nepal moves towards election day, the Election Commission has reiterated that ethical conduct Digital discipline and collective responsibility are essential to safeguarding democratic integrity.
Meanwhile, the election race in Jhapa's constituency 5 has taken on wider political significance, prompting authorities to step up security measures as the area has been classified as sensitive ahead of the vote. The constituency has drawn a lot of attention, with former Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli pitted against RSP senior leader Balendra Shah. Here's a report.
The electoral contest in constituency number 5 of Nepal's Jhapa district has moved beyond a race between individual candidates, reflecting a broader contest of political ideologies and influence. As a result, security considerations have gained importance, with the constituency identified by authorities as sensitive ahead of the vote. Addressing these concerns, Chief District Officer Shivaram Gilal said that 24 candidates have filed nominations and that arrangements are in place to conduct the election peacefully.
आसन्न निर्वाचनलाई स्वच्छ निष्पक्ष भयरहित वातावरणमा चाहिँ सम्पन्न गर्नु हामी सबैको दायित्व पनि हो र त्यो आचार संहिता पालना गर्न हाम्रो कर्तव्य पनि भएको हुनाले त्यो अनुसार सबै लाग्नु हुनेछ भन्ने विश्वास पनि मैले लिएको छु.
Similarly, Jhapa District Election Officer Tulsi Kumar Nepal said that holding a successful election is a shared responsibility and expressed confidence that voting in the district will remain peaceful.
पक्का पनि अब आचार संहिता उल्लङ्घन भयो भने त निर्वाचन कसुर तथा सजाय ऐनले त दण्ड जरिवाना गर्छ नै, तर त्यस्तो अवस्था हाम्रो जिल्लामा आउँदैन, नआओस् र आउँदैन पनि.
To support a fair and secure electoral process, the government has established a joint election cell to coordinate among multiple agencies. More than 11,000 security personnel, including police, armed police force, and army, will be deployed across the district under a 3-tier security framework. The election is being viewed not only as the casting of ballots, but as a test of political accountability, security preparedness, and community coordination, factors that are expected to shape the overall conduct of the vote in Jhapa.
9 of the 10 election constituencies in Nepal's federal capital Kathmandu will be headed by women this time. Though political parties turn indifferent towards nominating women under first-past-the-post system, the Election Commission, under the recommendation of the Judicial Service Commission, has appointed 9 women returning officers in Kathmandu. This report explains more. Amid much hue and cry over meager women candidates in the March 5 House of Representatives election, the Election Commission has handed the command of federal capital to women returning officers. The political parties turned cold shoulder in implementing the spirit of the constitution while selecting candidates under first-past-the-post system by only nominating 11.34% women as candidates. 9 of the returning officers in federal capital Kathmandu, that has the highest number of 10 election constituencies, are women. The Commission, on the recommendation of Judicial Service Commission, has appointed the judges in all 77 districts as the chief returning officers for the March 5 election, while 88 second-class gazetted officers in Judicial Service have been given the responsibility of returning officer. In Kathmandu, Deputy Attorney General Santi Neopani is overseeing constituency number 2, Krishna Bhandari, Deputy Attorney in Patan, is heading Kathmandu 4, while Under Secretary Sarda Rizal from the Ministry of Law is in charge of Kathmandu 5, and Chapala Pokhrel is leading the election in Kathmandu 6. Likewise, Savita Sharma, Kathmandu 7, Samjana Khanal, Kathmandu 8, Menuka Ghimire, Kathmandu 9, Supreme Court Deputy Registrar Amrita Kumari Sharma is leading this time in Kathmandu 10, and Chamila Bhattrai is leading Kathmandu 3. The Election Commission's decision to entrust women with the majority of election management responsibilities is being viewed as a reflection of growing institutional confidence in women's leadership.
This practice is for empowering women officers and also developing their leadership, and it indicates that the other women are also in line of taking leadership. That's why other women officers and other ladies can also be encouraged to have challenging job. Slowly and gradually, the number of women participation, the number of women leadership is increasing in the candidacy also.
The chief returning officers and returning officers have already started their role from January 9 in designated offices. The women are excited to have been entrusted the job and say these are exciting moments when the country itself has its first women prime minister.
सरकारको नेतृत्व पनि महिलाले गरिरहनु भएको छ हैन नेपालको इतिहास रच्दै हुनुहुन्छ महिलाहरूले हैन महिलाहरू फियर हुन्छन् यिनीहरू फियरली काम गर्न सक्छन् कसैप्रति बायस हुँदैनन् हैन जसरी स्वच्छ निष्पक्ष निर्वाचन भयो भने हाम्रो देशको जनप्रतिनिधि राम्रो हुन्छ भनेर र त्यही स्वच्छताको लागि पनि महिलाहरूको नेतृत्वमा चाहिँ अहिले सायद हुनसक्छ जति हुन त हामीले अहिले निर्वाचन आयोगले न्याय सेवाको महिलाहरू जति हुनुहुन्छ त्यसमा केही पर्सेन्टेज अब हुन त पुरै सबै ठाउँमा त महिला मात्रै त हुनुहुन्न तर भ्यालीमा चाहिँ 3 जना पुरुष हुनुहुन्छ त्योदेखि बाहेक सबैजना महिला हुनुहुन्छ त्यो नाताले पनि के गरियो भनेदेखि महिलाले फेयरली काम गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ काठमाडौँ भनेको त भिडभाड अलि राम्रो नराम्रो दुवै पक्षले अगाडि भएको ठाउँ हो यसमा चाहिँ महिलाहरू सक्षम भएर निस्किन्छन् भनेर नै सायद गरिएको होला भन्ने
The move also resonates with the demands raised by the Gen Z movement, which has consistently called for inclusive participation, shared ownership, and accountability across state institutions. As the March 5 polls approach, the women-led election management in Kathmandu sends a strong message. Women are not only capable of safeguarding democracy, but are increasingly shaping it. Nepal is facing a growing exodus of medical professionals as poor licensing exam outcomes. Low pay and limited career prospects push to seek opportunities abroad. New data from the Nepal Medical Council saw a sharp rise in foreign certification requests, with more than 2,600 doctors obtaining good standing certificates in the last fiscal year alone. Health experts warn the trend could strain Nepal's already fragile public healthcare system. Here's the report. Brain drain has found a new form in Nepal, with medical personnel, especially doctors and nurses, flying abroad for employment. Fresh data released by Nepal Medical Council (NMC) indicates a sharp rise in the outmigration of Nepali medical professionals, particularly doctors and nurses. Experts say disappointing licensing examination results and long-standing workplace challenges continue to pose health workers. The concern follows the publication of results from the 74th NMC licensing examination, where only 39.45% of candidates passed the computer-based test for MBBS and BDS registration. Of the 943 candidates who took the examination, just 372 succeeded. The MBBS stream recorded a pass rate of 38.7%, while 42.85% of dental candidates cleared the exam.
यहाँभन्दा बढी सेवा सुविधा र यहाँभन्दा बढी सामाजिक सुरक्षा पाइसकेपछि चिकित्सक मात्रै होइन सबै चाहिँ भन्नाले त्यसैको भने खोजीमा बाहिर जान्छ त्यसै क्रममा चिकित्सकहरू पनि गइरहनु भएको छ तर त्यसमा जो भर्खर ग्रेजुएट हुनुभएको हुन्छ ग्रेजुएट भएको लगभग 5-7 वर्षमा म्याक्सिमम चाहिँ भन्नाले विदेश जाने विदेश पलायन हुने वा चाहिँ भन्नाले माइग्रेसन हुने सम्भावना चाहिँ बढी छ.
But the overall results have nonetheless intensified debate over the quality of medical education and the future prospects of young health professionals in Nepal. Alongside licensing challenges, Nepal Medical Council data on the issuance of certificates of good standing, a mandatory document for foreign employment, higher education, or professional training, clearly shows a steady increase in the migration of medical professionals. Over the past 6 fiscal years, the number of certificates issued has more than doubled, rising from 1,087 in 2020 to a record of 2,681 in 2025. Council officials estimate that more than 70% of certificate holders eventually move abroad on a long-term basis.
People who are graduated in medicine or nursing or even the health professionals, they have very little opportunity to provide services in the country. That's why to source the opportunity, this is a very usual thing to look for the further development of their own career, for the further study and get the job international also. That's why the service is required very much in Nepal. The people are not getting service. The production of the human resources are almost enough to provide the services. So the government sectors, non-government sectors and other sectors also, they have to create the post to provide services.
According to the NMC records, the United Kingdom remains the leading destination for Nepali doctors, while more than 500 certificates issued for the UK in recent years. The United States has also seen a sharp surge, peaking at 843 certificates in 2023. Health sector officials say the trend reflects deep-rooted dissatisfaction within the domestic healthcare system. Young doctors echo similar concerns, citing low pay, delayed salaries, and lack of workplace security.
हामीले रात दिन अहोरात्र खटेर हामीले बिरामीको सेवाहरू गर्छौँ। अब त्यही अनुसारको हामीलाई प्रोत्साहन स्वरूप दिएको पारिश्रमिकहरूले चाहिँ हाम्रो जीविकोपार्जन नै गर्दैन। अब फीकै कुरा गर्ने हो भने एमबीबीएसमा 40 देखि 45 लाख खर्च गरेर हामी पढ्न आउँछौँ। अब 5.5 वर्ष खर्च हाम्रो लाइफको खर्च गरिसकेपछि हामीलाई दिने पारिश्रमिक भनेको अब केउकै कुरा गर्ने हो भने 10 देखि 12 हजार छ। अब त्यो स्यालेरीले हाम्रो जीवनको जीविकोपार्जन नै गर्न सक्दैन। अब उमेर अनुसार आउने हाम्रो पारिवारिक जिम्मेवारी पनि हुन्छ। अब त्यस कारणले गर्दा कस्तो अवस्था आइसकेको छ भने चाहिँ हाम्रो मानसिक स्वास्थ्यमै असर पर्छ कि जस्तो पनि कुरा आइसकेको अवस्था चाहिँ त्यस्तो छ।
The continued outflow of trained doctors and nurses poses serious long-term risk to Nepal's public health system, particularly in public hospitals and rural areas. That's the perspective for this week. We will be back next week with major highlights of the week. Thank you for watching NTV World.